Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S10 and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy S9 and see which particular phone is the better one for you. Now, I probably would not recommend anyone to go and buy these phones anymore. It just doesn't make any sense at all, and you are so much better off purchasing phones that are still supported with software. So think of phones like the Samsung Galaxy S21 or above, Google Pixel 6 and above, those types of phones. I would probably recommend buying those. And if you want to pick them up, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both of these, the Samsung Galaxy S9, which came out back in 2017 on the front, the Samsung Galaxy S9, which came out back in 2018 on the front of this phone, has a 5.8-inch Super AMOLED display. It's 1440p, and honestly, it's not really like that bad of a panel. I think Samsung did a really good job with phones even back then, and although it looked the same thing as the Galaxy S8, this panel, this everything still looks very good, and I'm still a big fan of the way this phone kind of holds up. It's a 60Hz panel, nothing crazy, but it's a good looking phone nonetheless. The Samsung Galaxy S10 though, this was a significant difference. Going from the S9 to the S10, you were getting a bigger size display, so this one was now 5.1 inches, which again was crazy. It was the dynamic AMOLED display, which I think they're still using that technology. It was 1440p, but I'm telling you, this display and the jump from the S9 to the S10 was massive. You were getting a hole punch display in the top right corner, and it's still like a very good looking panel. Even now to this day, when I compare something like, newer phones to the S10, I still think the Samsung Galaxy S10 just does a really good job with that type of phone, which is just so crazy. On the bottom, USB Type-C ports, headphone jacks, and microSD card slots on both these phones. So Samsung did not go through and remove it on either one, and it was still having really good capability on both these devices at that time. On the backside, glass backs, wireless charging, reverse wireless charging on the Samsung Galaxy S10, which was another really cool feature, and that was something that was actually very nice to have. This was the first phone I think it debuted with, and it's just crazy because Samsung just threw a bunch of stuff inside of the Samsung Galaxy S10. And for us to have a phone like this at that time of having this type of, capability was just so amazing, and I was a massive fan of that for sure. So from that side and on the exterior, it definitely gets a thumbs up for me on the Galaxy S10. From the camera side, you're still getting a pretty good camera on the Galaxy S9. It's a single 12 megapixel wide angle lens, 4K 60 on the back and 1440p actually on the front. The Galaxy S10 again just dominates in this area. The Galaxy S10 gave us a 12 megapixel wide telephoto and a 16 megapixel ultra wide camera. Having a triple camera setup like that is just phenomenal, right? It's just so cool, and I love having that type of capability here as well. It's just another one of those cool things that we have inside of this phone. There's just so many little things that Samsung kind of threw in here that's amazing, and this is basically one of them as well. 4K 60 on the front and the back side of this phone as well. That's another super cool thing going on for this phone, and definitely in my personal opinion, having a phone like the Samsung Galaxy S10 with that type of capability, power, and camera is just so amazing and just so phenomenal for sure. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to the software longevity, this is one of those areas that just, both of these phones are kind of lacking in as of this point. So the Galaxy S9 ended off at Android 10, the Galaxy S10 ended off at Android 12. So you are getting a longer lasting phone inside of something like the Samsung Galaxy S10, but both of these phones are basically done getting software support. So it really doesn't make too much sense to go and buy either one of these phones anymore because you're kind of done getting software on both of them. So again, it's just one of those other things, like I would hate for you to go and buy a phone if it's already outdated with software, and both of these phones are completely outdated with software. So again, just one of those minor things to kind of keep in mind there as well. On top of that, another very big thing to kind of keep in mind here is the performance. So the performance of both these phones I think is, interesting. So inside of the, Galaxy S9, you're getting that Snapdragon 845 chipset with 4 gigabytes of RAM. With the Galaxy S10, you're getting a Snapdragon 855 chipset with 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM. The thing I will tell you about the performance of both these phones is that once again, inside of a phone like the Samsung Galaxy S10, that type of device is still giving you like an overall pretty good experience, right? Like that device, for the most part, no matter really what you're going to do, you're probably going to be getting a pretty good time with it. And that is something that's really cool and really awesome within these types of phones, that you can just go through and still have a pretty decent experience with it. The Galaxy S9 is not terrible, like neither one of these phones is terrible, but you're definitely not going to be getting these great performing phones anymore. Like they're both outdated, and once again, that's just kind of what ends up happening when you're getting these types of phones. So I would hate for you to go and buy a phone like this if it's already going to be outdated with software, and that is kind of what's going on when you're getting both of these phones. So from that side, once again, that's kind of one thing to kind of keep in mind there too. And overall, from the performance side, I'll definitely tell you, honestly, from the overall side of both these phones, they're both very, very good, right? Like, I like both these phones a lot, but I think the Samsung Galaxy S10 would be the one I'd recommend buying more. But I probably would not recommend buying either one of these phones anymore. Like, both these phones are outdated with software. It just doesn't make any sense to go and buy them. And you're much better off buying a phone like that's still supported, like I mentioned before, like the Galaxy S21, S22, those types of phones. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. The like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.